What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I'm Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the new 2021 Mazda 6, courtesy of Jack Giambalvo Mazda in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So wanted to check this one out today because there is actually a couple new changes for the 2021 model year, and of course good reliability, really with all Mazdas for that matter. And you guys can check out Consumer Reports magazine to verify that. But in this video I will be testing out and going over everything about the Mazda 6, from acceleration, braking, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, rear seat legroom, all that fun stuff. So having mentioned all that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2021 Mazda 6. First one being the Sport, starting at $24,475. Touring for $27,075. Grand Touring, which is the one we have today, starting at $30,175. Grand Touring Reserve for $32,675. Carbon Edition, which is a new trim level for the 2021 Mazda 6. This one starts at $32,950. And lastly, the Signature, starting at $35,900. And so with all of these trim levels, there are two different power plants available for this one. First power plant is going to belong strictly to the Sport and Touring trim levels. And so with this one, you will get a 2.5 liter direct injected inline 4-cylinder engine, putting out 187 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, 186 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 4,000 RPM. That power is sent to the front wheels through a 6-speed automatic. Red line for that engine configuration, 6,500 RPM, 0 to 60 time, approximately 7.9 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 26 in the city, 35 on the highway, taking regular unleaded fuel. And but so then there is the other engine configuration, the one we have today, belonging to the Grand Touring trim level and up. This one is going to be a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, 250 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 320 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 2,500 RPM. By the way, that's a plus 10 pound-feet of torque bump from the 2020 model year. And all that power is sent to the front wheels through a 6-speed automatic. Red line comes in at 6,300 RPM, 0 to 60 approximately 6.1 seconds, with MPG numbers coming in at 23 in the city, 31 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. But so that before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in our Mazda 6, I did want to mention there is a Sport driving mode. Yes, one driving mode. It is labeled Sport, and that button is located just to the left of the shifter, and that will adjust the shift points and the throttle response. So having said that, I'm just going to push that up, and it does immediately downshift for you there, so it is going to hold the RPMs at a much higher level, giving you more power on demand. And now, since we are in sport mode, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the Mazda 6 here to the test, and let's see if this engine configuration really does feel like 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. All right, here we go. That'll do the trick. It's not the quickest thing in the world, but still, it is dang quick. And there wasn't a whole lot of spinning either, and absolutely no torque steer. And that's actually the thing that was in my head the whole time, because there's a heck of a lot of power being sent to just the front wheels. Like, all-wheel drive would have been able to handle that beautifully. You wouldn't have gotten any spinning, because like I said, I did get a little bit of spinning, but there was no torque steer. All-wheel drive would have been able to handle that beautifully. You wouldn't have gotten any spinning, because like I said, I did get a little bit of spinning, but there was no torque steer, and that's what's most important to me, because that would have thrown me right off the road, of course. So love it. Not that bad of acceleration at all. Turbocharged engine, turbocharged 4-cylinder with 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. That's definitely going to get the job done without a doubt. But one more thing I wanted to mention to you guys is we actually do have paddle shifters. So what I'm going to do is just slide the shifter to the left. That is going to give me full control over the paddle shifters. I'm in second gear here. Let's just do a quick little test here. I just want to see how quickly they react for us. I feel like it was a little bit faster when I was using the paddle shifters, but still, there is a little bit of a delay to the paddle shifters, and they are black plastic as well. Wouldn't have minded if they coated them with like a smoother plastic or made them aluminum or something like that, but Black plastic is fine. That's what my old Ford Mustang used, but it could be a little bit better. That's all I'm saying, because the rest of this interior quality, and I'll get to it in a little bit, is excellent. But the paddle shifters, not so much. Anyways, to go along with all of that, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 11.7-inch ventilated front discs for the non-turbocharged engine configuration. But if you go with the turbo like we got today, it's actually going to bump that up to 12.6-inch ventilated front discs. So that's pretty cool. In the back, 10.9-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60 to 0 stopping distance goes, 127 feet, which I gotta be honest, isn't the best when you're comparing it to the competitors here in this segment. So, for example, the Hyundai Sonata comes in at 121 feet, Honda Accord 109 feet. That's brilliant, by the way. But anyways, you can definitely feel it. That is the first thing I noticed, and maybe it's because I drive so many cars nowadays. That's the first thing I noticed when I got in this one. It is a much softer braking feel than I would have expected from Mazda, just because these are pretty fun cars to drive. So Mazda, if you end up watching this video, reconfigure the braking just a little bit, just to maybe bring that number down to at least 120 feet, something like that. Maybe make the brakes bite a little bit harder, just because it is a little bit soft of a braking feel for a sportier car like the Mazda 6. But anyways, then touching on suspension and handling, because this is where Mazda really gets it right. Up front, you're gonna get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. As far as ride quality goes, it is perfectly fine. There's absolutely no issues there. But where Mazda really gets it right is the steering feel. And you guys probably already know that the steering feel is definitely weighted on the heavier side of things, and it does instantly point you in the direction that you want to go. There are no dead spots in the steering whatsoever. It is just a beautiful steering feel for any sedan out there. It is among the best, and certainly the best in its segment, in its class. So if you're looking for the very best steering feel in its class, definitely go with the Mazda 6. That is where this one shines without a doubt. As far as cabin noise goes, that's perfectly fine. I've hit highway speeds in my short test drive here, and there's not a whole lot of exterior wind noise coming into the cabin, so that is perfectly fine for me. And touching on visibility, you're definitely not going to have any issues. I can see perfectly fine out the back, and it actually gets better. There are rain sensing windshield wipers that come standard on every single trim level of the Mazda 6. You usually don't get that. You sometimes get it on the upper trim levels of the competition, but you certainly don't get it on every single trim level. So well done, Mazda, for that. Essentially what that is the Mazda 6 is going to detect any kind of mist or rainfall. It's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you, just like automatic headlights. It's just one less thing you got to worry about there. And if you were to go with the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up, therefore we don't have this, you will get a head-up display as well, and that's going to project your speed and speed limit onto your windshield, better helping you keep your eyes on the road so you can better enjoy the drive in the Mazda 6. But that about rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2021 Mazda 6. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2021 Mazda 6, finished in deep crystal blue mica. And so typically I start up front on my vehicles when I get to the exterior walk around, but first let me mention a little bit on the Carbon Edition trim level, which is new for 2021. That's going to essentially give you the Grand Touring Reserve plus a polymetal gray paint, black exterior accents, 19-inch dark wheels, and some interior black trim as well. So just wanted to touch on that, since a lot of those changes for that trim level are going to be exterior changes. But anyways, now let's go ahead and make our way to the front of the Mazda 6. Gloss black front grille is going to come with the Carbon Edition trim level and up. You will get a gunmetal front grille then if you were to go with the Signature. In addition to that, you will find some bright trim on the lower portion of the front bumper if you were to go with the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. Otherwise, it is going to be black trim that you guys are currently looking at. LED headlights to the sides with auto leveling actually comes standard across the board. Well done, Mazda, for that. You typically don't get the auto leveling feature on all trim levels for that matter. Also, of course, the automatic feature does come standard, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, these headlights will turn on automatically for you there. LED daytime running lights also coming standard, and if you were to go with the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up, you will get, in addition to that, an adaptive front lighting system. That's a luxury feature that is even optional in some other luxury brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. So adaptive front lighting is available and does come standard on the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. And essentially what that is when you're going around the bend at night, those headlights are going to swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help at illuminating what is around that bend. So that's definitely a safety feature in itself. But so anyways, that about wraps up the front of this one. Let's go ahead and make our way to the side of the Mazda 6. So but now since we are around to the side, chrome window surrounds do come standard, body colored door handles and side skirts. You don't always get that, so I have to mention it. Body colored side mirrors with LED integrated turn signals actually come standard on all trim levels as well. And again, you don't always get that on other manufacturers. Heated side mirrors are going to come with the Grand Touring trim level and up. Automatic power folding side mirrors coming with the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. And those side mirrors will come with a gloss black finish if you were to go with that Carbon Edition trim level like I was telling you guys earlier. But taking a look down now at the wheel setup, 17 by 7.5 inch aluminum alloys for the Sport trim level. However, every single other trim is going to bump that up to 19 by 7.5 inch aluminum alloys. So it's going to differ in design slightly, but they're all going to be the same size. So I wanted to put it that way. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the back of the Mazda 6. All right, so now since we are around back, there is a small shark fin antenna up top. I think you guys can see that. If you wanted a rear spoiler, that is going to come on the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. And I'm sure there's some aftermarket ones if you really wanted it. But anyways, LED taillights do come standard across the board to match in with the LED headlights. That's pretty cool. And just below it all, dual exhaust outlets with chrome tips. So I do believe you guys know what we have to do next. As always, here is that exhaust.
Верите ли вы, что выучить алфавит и научиться писать на иврите можно очень быстро, буквально за 1 час?
Exhaust clip. Alright, so now since we are around back of the Mazda 6, when it comes to opening that rear trunk, there is a button on the trunk itself, of course, that is one way. There is a button on the key fob as well, that is yet another way, and there's a button by the driver's side left knee then, in addition to that. So there are a few different ways to go ahead and open that up. Once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 14.7 cubic feet, which is certainly a decent amount, but if that was not enough space for you, there is a 60-40 split, meaning the rear seats do fold down for quite a bit of extra space then if you needed it. And to fold down those rear seats, there's actually little levers in the back. You just pull them towards yourself, and that is going to fold those rear seats down. So that is how you're going to go ahead and do that. I did want to also mention there's some nice little cubby space to the left and the right in the back there in the cargo area. And if you were to look underneath the cargo floor, you will find a spare tire. So in case anybody was curious whether it's a fix-a-flat or a spare tire, it is the spare tire on the Mazda 6. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the rear legroom. Rear passengers actually have it pretty darn good on the Mazda 6. Rear legroom comes in at 38.7 inches. So for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I have back there. And there is a rear center armrest with cup holders, and that rear center armrest is more than just what it is. There is also a little bit of storage in that rear center armrest as well. And my favorite part, 2 USB charging ports. So if you got kids in the back, they can charge up their tablets constantly or cell phones or whatever. So that part I absolutely love. You don't always get rear USB charging ports on different sedans out there. So I wanted to mention that. But rear ventilation also coming standard for those rear passengers as well. And by the way, the charging ports there are going to come on the Touring trim level and up. So you're not going to get them on the Sport. I should mention that as well. And you can actually get heated rear seats for the rear passengers as well for the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. So unfortunately we don't have them today, but that is pretty darn cool because it does get quite cold here in Pennsylvania. So now let's go ahead and make our way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating for the Sport, 6-way power driver's seat for the Touring and Grand Touring, 8-way power driver's seat with power lumbar for the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. As far as the finishes go, leatherette seating for the Touring and Grand Touring, leather seating for the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. You will get heated front seats for the Touring and up, ventilated front seats for the Grand Touring Reserve and up, and memory settings for the Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up as well. But these seats, like with the seams going vertical like that, they almost look luxury, like almost like Lexus or Mercedes-Benz even, something like that, like an S-Class seat, but maybe not as poofy, but still they are very nice seats, definitely comfortable, no issues with going on long road trips in this thing. So I'm definitely a big fan of the seating in the Mazda 6 without a doubt. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping. It's actually going to get leather wrapped for every single trim level across the board as well. A lot of times with the bottom trim level, you get a urethane steering wheel. but it is going to be leather wrapped for all trims, so that's pretty cool, and heated then if you were to go with that Grand Touring Reserve trim level and up. Now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me first start by showing you guys the key here. You do have your Mazda logo on the one side, absolutely nothing on the other side because all of your buttons are actually located on the side of the key, which is kind of cool. It's lock, unlock, and the button to pop the rear hatch, and of course the little exclamation mark there, that's going to be your panic button. So in the end, it essentially is all keyless entry though with the push button start. So all I'm going to do is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button, which is located just to the left of the infotainment screen there. And so once started up, tachometer is all the way to your left, speedometer is front and center, and there is a small digital display located all the way to your right there. And to adjust what is on that digital display, there's actually steering wheel mounted controls found on the left side of the steering wheel. There's things like your safety information, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There's your outside temperature, trip A, trip B, and when you need your next oil change apparently as well. So quite a bit, pretty much everything you could possibly want within the gauges up there. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality, because like I mentioned earlier, it's dang good in the Mazda 6. Power moonroof is going to come with the Touring trim level and up, so therefore that is what you guys are looking at right now. Overhead sunglass holder also located up top there for every single trim level. You will find an auto dimming rear view mirror with home link controls for the Grand Touring trim level and up for up to 3 different garage doors. So I like that because the alternative is that clunky little thing that snaps to your rear visor and it rattles at higher speeds. So I like the home link controls on the Mazda 6 for sure. Dual zone climate control coming standard on every single trim level. That's wonderful as well. And if you were to go with the signature, you will get LED interior lighting then as well, rather than the halogen bulbs. But overall, like I said, it's the quality of the materials in the Mazda 6 that really make it stand out. It's the stitched leather found just above the passenger side glove box and the dual zone climate control. It ties into the doors as well. And then you have the aluminum trim on the doors. It ties together in between the air vents and above the passenger side glove box yet again. It's all the fit and finishes, basically. Very high-end materials. There's this gloss black material located around the shifter. I think Mazda knows I hate the gray plastic, and there is a little bit of gray plastic in this one, but not a whole lot, and that's what I absolutely love about it. There is a little bit of storage just in front of the shifter there. There's an electromechanical parking brake. Just behind the shifter, you have dual cup holders behind that. And within the center armrest, a ton of charging ports. You have an SD card slot, 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB charging ports, and an auxiliary port as well. So therefore, I am charging up my camera's battery because this is my 3rd review today. So that is what I am doing. That's what you guys are looking at. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen here. 8-inch color touchscreen display does come standard. Bluetooth and audio streaming also standard. Android Auto, Apple CarPlay also standard, but it gets better because wireless Apple CarPlay comes on the Grand Touring trim level and up. So there's no clunky wires you have to worry about messing anything up. So that is pretty darn cool. I love wireless anything, so that's pretty cool. Factory navigation system coming on the signature trim level and up, although you don't really need it if you have a smartphone because they Android Auto, Apple CarPlay anyways. Radio information you can, of course, check out up there as well. And by the way, 6 speakers coming with the Sport and Touring. Then there is going to be an 11-speaker Bose sound system for the Grand Touring trim level and up. So therefore, that is what we got going on here today. So what do you say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today here, and let's test out the clarity of this one. It's great. I really like the sound system in this, and I've had Bose sound systems in my vehicles before. They've never broken or failed me, so I do like the company Bose, and it is definitely a very nice sound system for the Mazda 6. One other thing I wanted to mention on the infotainment screen, though, is it is a touchscreen, like I said, but there's also a circular dial and buttons located directly behind the shifter. That's probably going to be the easier route to take when you're actually driving, adjusting the radio settings, things like that. But when you're actually parked, the touchscreen is going to be probably a little bit quicker and better, although it is a bit of a reach if I were to try to adjust something using the touchscreen while I was actually driving. So I did want to mention that to you guys. But last thing I wanted to mention on that screen is when you do put the Mazda 6 in reverse, you will find a rear view camera letting you know who or what is behind you, and a 360-degree monitor if you were to go with the signature trim level only. But as always, that is going to lead us into safety. And so let me start with IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest designation given by IIHS, and that pretty much says it all right there. But front side curtain airbags do come standard. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers from cylinder for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system. That's all pretty boring, but also coming standard across the board for this one, a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, frontal collision warning, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control with stop and go, and automatic high beams as well. And so overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here, safety is always most important, especially if you're going to have kids in the back seat, and this is the very highest safety rating you could possibly get. So that is absolutely wonderful. Reliability historically has always been very good for the Mazda 6 as well. And again, take a look at Consumer Reports for that. Great handling in this one. That is one of the best parts about just about every Mazda made right now. It's the steering feel, it's the handling that makes this one so much fun to drive. Very quiet cabin. That is another big plus. There wasn't a whole lot of exterior wind noise coming into the cabin. Wireless Apple CarPlay is also absolutely wonderful. As far as room for improvement goes on this one, like I mentioned earlier, the braking really could be a bit better on this one. For as much fun as this is to drive on the back roads with its great handling characteristics, the braking doesn't equal that, because the braking does have a quite soft feel to it, and I'm just not a fan. Also, multicolor ambient lighting I think would be pretty cool as well. But overall, a very, very nice sedan here. Let me know what you guys think of the Mazda 6 in the comment section below. That is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media if you want to see what's coming next on the channel. Before it actually gets to YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button. If you're into new car reviews, that is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you